How do you know when you are in love? When even after the butterflies have calmed down, and they will, and everything has stopped being new and exciting, that one is definitely inevitable. There are still moments where you look at them, or just think about them, and feel like how the hell did this happen? And how could I ever be so lucky? Apostrophe. And when you can't remember the last time you had one of those moments with them, your first thought is to do whatever it takes to find them again. You'll still get butterflies. And you will still have those wonderful sunblessed days where everything shines. But you won't be so worried about whether or not they're happening right now. Because you know you've got the thing that those moments are made of. And as long as you keep digging, it will never stop flowing. When you get good or bad news, they are the first person that you want to tell. They make the good news real, and you know that they will get you through the bad news. They are the person that you want to share everything with. If you can look at them and be able to say, I'd do damn near anything for you. Sometimes a slightly horrifying realization, haha. Every day when I see my wife for the first time in the morning, bedhead, bleary eyes and all, I still think she is the most beautiful sight in the world. We have been together for 17 years, 13 of which married to each other. That's how I felt about this one girl at a time. I didn't propose to her. I should. She wanted me to. Ultimately she left. I didn't know there was a timer in relationships, especially considering neither of us wanted kids. She was my first serious one. I miss her every day. You're lucky. For me, it was the moment I felt like it was just me and the guy I'm in love with in the world. That nobody else mattered and I could be completely safe with him. I find it hard to trust people and feel comfortable around them. But with my boyfriend, I knew I was in love with him on the first date. I know that's very fast. Don't judge me. SHHH. Because we were playing pinball together and he put his arm around me and I didn't flinch or try to pull away. Instead I melted into his arms and felt completely safe. Love is the partnership of two unique people who bring out the very best in each other and who know that, even though they are wonderful as individuals, they are even better together. You'll know you love someone when their mental health and happiness and well-being is what you strive to improve every day. When you think about them, even after spending a whole day with them. When you feel sad or lonely and fear, the first thing that comes to mind. When you want comfort. When you hear them laugh or see them smile, it makes you laugh or smile too. When you wake up and fear's still on your mind after going to bed thinking about them. When you can't really picture what it would be like without them, or you don't want to. When all you want to do is see them succeed and be happy. It's not as hard as you'd think to know when you truly love someone. The girl I love right now knows that I love her, and she's reminded every day that I do, even if I don't outright say it. I know she loves me too by her actions and her words. When you know you know. And if you're unsure if it's love or lust, really think about what about them you're drawn to. You can be sexually attracted to someone and have it be a large part of your interactions with someone and still love them. But if you can't see yourself laying there with them mindlessly watching Netflix or playing games or napping or eating together or taking care of them when they're sick, then it's probably not love. Corny. But you'll know. It's like realizing that there's something inside your chest which is connected to something in their chest. You don't always feel it. Sometimes you may even forget it's there. But when you look for it, there's still that thread connecting you. For me it was when conversations that ended like, and that's why I like you, felt more natural to say as love you. I caught myself stifling that word, leaving it intended but unspoken for a week until I owned it and got it off my chest. For me it's a few things, but the biggest is that even if I could go back in time and fix my many mistakes and avoid some of the horrible things I've lived through, I wouldn't. Cause if I change the past I might not have my partner. And he can make me laugh even when I'm at rock bottom. When you look at a person with the understanding that for their happiness and pleasure you are willing to sacrifice your own feelings. Yes, morally you are not ready to give that person to another, to let him fall in love with another person. But you have to, and you are happy for him in spite of your inner pain. Alas, you break your own heart in pieces by gluing someone else's. When you worry about his or her psychological state not as others do. When you take a person's jokes or sarcastic remarks about suicide or self-injury seriously while everyone else is laughing. They don't care, but you care. You think about the person and are ashamed of some of your mundane phrases because they may hit a nerve. You think 1,000 times about whether it's right to say this, and this, whether this will offend her, whether this will upset her. If you are in a contest/competition and he outdoes you in a certain category, you are happy for him as you are for yourself. Personally, my symptoms of being in love are these. P.S. So deep into her thoughts and self-knowledge that she began to talk about her partner, not in the masculine form, as she had begun, but in the feminine form. But the point, I think, is clear. Really being in love makes everything else in the world awesome. Your favorite songs sound better. Your favorite foods taste better. The air is cleaner. Everyone else you see seems friendlier. Shame it wears off. But that initial dose of love is bomb-aff. Trust me, you'll know when it hits you. When I can tell them my deepest darkest secret. When I know that the smallest of stuff which seems irrelevant to the world but deeply impacts me will not be judged by them, hence I'm super comfortable talking to them about it. And most importantly, when I want to do big and small things to make their day. When you can sit across the table from someone, look lovingly into their eyes, and think to yourself, this is someone that I could really see our kids spending every other weekend with, apostrophe. Then, you're in love. Love is more of a choice than a feeling. The feelings people describe are there and occur when you love someone, but they're not always present, but the love will be, because it's something you choose. I.e. you love your parents, but sometimes they make you angry etc. You don't feel love in that moment, but you still do. Generally speaking, not all love is the same. I love my wife, my parents, my friends etc. It's all different. It's not one feeling, but it's all one choice. It hurts. You think about them a lot. Everything reminds you of them. Shite love songs start to make sense. You get that finally. I'm home. This is what I've been waiting for feeling. When you're with them. I had this. With a friend. He chose someone else. I hope I'll feel this again sometime. For someone else. It was truly wonderful. It's an overwhelming longing to be with them. When just the sound of their voice can lift you up. When you would do anything for them even at the expense of yourself. A physical hurt when they aren't around, and weight lifted off you when they are. Your first thought in the morning and your last thought at night. When the collective amount of time you've spent with them never feels quite enough. When you are genuinely grateful to be alive because of them. That's how you know. When a piece of your soul snaps into place. I have only experienced this a few times in my life, and only one of those times was romantic. Once was with a friend who hurt me many times and I no longer talk to them, but I will always love them like a sister and a soulmate no matter what. Another time was when I met my pet rabbit for the first time. Insta love. I loved that stupid little thing. I only had her for 3 years before she tragically had to be put down due to aggressive stomach cancer. I haven't wanted to keep a pet since I lost her, and I still think about her from time to time. She was a soulmate too. However ridiculous that sound to my own ears. The last one was with my boyfriend. When I met him, I knew instantly that I needed him in my life forever. I didn't know how or in what way, but I just knew he was another soulmate of mine. I wasn't feeling the butterflies in my stomach when I was about him. I just skipped straight to loving him completely. It felt like I had always known him despite just meeting him. I knew 100% who he was when I looked into his eyes for the first time. I just knew. We have been together for over a decade now and I have never lost that connection with him. Sometimes I get the butterflies and silly infatuation, but it's based on real shit. I know him better than anyone, and he the same about me. I can't imagine life without him. It's hoping to see a text from them as soon as you wake up, because you know that's the best way to start your morning. It's listening to that one song that you always enjoyed for no reason other than the fact that it's genuinely a great song, except now it's about you two together. Whether that's a wedding or a fancy date or honestly anything. It's hearing something at work that reminds you of one of your many inside jokes and you can't wait to share it with them. More importantly, if you're thinking about someone right now while reading this comment, gotta say you're in love. It's really simple. It's like, gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight. My motto's always been when it's right, it's right. Why wait until the middle of a cold dark night, when everything's a little clearer in the light of day, and we know the night is always gonna be there anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight. Rubbing sticks and stones together makes the sparks ignite. And the thought of love and you is getting so exciting. Skyrockets in flight. Afternoon delight. Afternoon delight. Afternoon delight. For me, it happened with my boyfriend when it was really hard to go home. I was leaving his place after a date to go home. And I almost couldn't. I almost turned around to go back to him. I had this sudden and intense feeling of not wanting to leave. I realized while I was driving home that I loved that man. That was pretty early on in the relationship. So I didn't tell him I loved him until he said it first while we were drunk in New Orleans a few months later. I realized I was in love when I realized that I would rather spend my time with her than with my friends or hobbies. Note that this doesn't mean you have to give up those things, and you shouldn't, but when you realize that the person you care for is more important to you than those things, then I say it's safe to call that love. I'm afraid you don't. Not really. Plenty will tell you different things they do or feel. But the truth is that every person is unique, every situation different, and every time you feel love it is going to feel completely different from before. If I had a nickel every time I heard I have never felt like this before, I could run an ad explaining this. The only way to know for sure that you are in love is to take the time to recognize it and to accept it for what it is. I have had a few relationships, some of them where I felt love, and each time it felt different. I'm currently in a relationship and I love my girlfriend dearly, but how I decided I was in love wasn't because of the emotions or what I feel. It's because at one point I stopped and looked at what happened, looked at how I acted and felt, and realized that I was in love. Now, one could say, well, I'm not in love, I'm just infatuated, dealing with the honeymoon phase, etc. We all have traps we fall into, and we come to recognize them. But you can't be in love if you don't accept it as love either. If I always told myself that I was just in the honeymoon phase with my girlfriend all the time, then I would struggle a great deal with realizing how I felt. Also, just to add a little info on my end, I have had a long-held belief against marriage, believing it to not be about love, but more of relationship insurance done, so people could feel like they can hurt you if you hurt them. However, my relationship I am in was the first woman I have ever felt that marriage would be nice. Not some sort of relationship insurance she needed to feel safe, but that she would want to be my wife because she truly does wish to be with me, and if I did doubt her intentions, that she would not force a legal marriage, but would be happy with a commitment ceremony as well. I guess you could say it was a level of trust I feel in her. /carrot. /carrot in your case or the case of anyone else. It has to be the same thing. Something they eventually recognize as meaning love to them. I still don't know, and I've yet to find out more about this love which perplexes me, but I believe it's something along the lines of you can't even have a meal without thinking about them type of feeling. I've heard someone I've known for quite a while say something along the lines of love is when you do something for someone without them even realizing they need it. I think that's a good way of putting it. So when you find yourself doing this, then you'll know that you're in love. Or, when the 6 is good /s, kinda. I guess it's safe to say that you just start feeling it. If you ask yourself do I love her /him, it's a bad start. But if you're basically just minding your business and suddenly you feel there is something more than friendship, and you could perfectly describe it with love, it's love. It clicked when I asked my girlfriend what love in her opinion is, and she answered with, when she is your little world. From that moment on I knew she is the one. My world basically. I'm not really sure when. I guess just gradually over time. We've been friends for 7 years now since 3rd grade. We started dating almost a year ago, February 16th. How he asked me to be his girlfriend was really cute in my opinion. He was originally planning to ask on the 15th, because doing it on Valentine's Day seemed too cheesy, so he thought he'd do it the day after. Well, he chickened out the first time, and me being oblivious AF, had no idea what was going on because all he said was, "Can I ask you something?" About an hour later when I responded, "Cause I was busy working on homework." I should also mention this was over text. He said, "Never mind. I'll tell you tomorrow." I at first thought that maybe he was tired, since it was getting kinda late, around 9:30 PM, which is when he sometimes goes to bed. Before I fell asleep, I was toying with the idea of him asking me out, because I liked him for about a year at this point. I eventually told myself he doesn't feel the same way, because I pretty much radiate crackhead energy, and how the school kept saying that we should start dating. Long story for another time. Not the school staff, but the students, for anyone confused. Next morning, first thing I do after I wake up was grab my phone and text him, "It's tomorrow." He texted back and then confessed that he liked me as more than a friend and asked if I'd be his girlfriend. Since he knew me too well, he actually specified that it wasn't a prank. Maybe it's because I told him about 2 confessions in my first period CL button Valentine's Day. Obviously turned them down because I barely knew them and spoke to them once while asking them to move so I could grab something. I came to the conclusion that they were just trying to mess with my head. We've been talking about the future of our relationship, like how long we'll think it'll last etc. I can honestly see it becoming long term, but if we do happen to break up, I made him promise that we wouldn't end on bad terms, since our friendship is the most important thing in my life, and I'm not sure how long I would live without it. Suicidal. Thinking of him always helps calm me down. When you feel like they give you purpose, you might already have a purpose, be it pursuit of money or other things, but they will give you that profound meaning to your life that your original purpose never could. Or I'm really lonely. Love interest is sad. You are the saddest you've ever been. Same for reverse. Anything special that you wanna tell someone, good or bad, that will be the first person to know. And the biggest factor, you know it. If you had to ask, means that you wonder if you feel it towards someone. And the answer is very probably yes. Love, if you love them, you know you love them. You don't ask yourself if you truly love them. Being in love, thinking about them 24/7. Think, fake scenarios or replaying real encounters. That's it for me. When something feels missing, because you haven't seen her for some time, and the sheer amount of joy you get when see her after some time, and you'll be praying like, damn, please don't let this day end. It's just a different feeling. You feel a sort of balance. You listen to them, they listen to you, and both understand and appreciate each other much more as a result. Of course, I guess it's the same for platonic bonds too, but still. When even the mud that's impressively caked onto the bottom of your new favorite shoes looks so wonderfully beautiful, because the color reminds you of her deep brown eyes, the ones that pierce through your flesh right into your soul. That's how you know you're in love. When you feel at peace with them, and they're at peace with you, you also have to care about them, and they must feel secure whenever you're around. Another way to tell is if you feel incredibly awkward around them even though you did nothing, or they did nothing to make you feel awkward. When you can't imagine life without them, even if it's not in the way you want, wanting the best for them, even if what's best has nothing to do with you or your self-interests. Time after time, no other man/woman ever comes close in pretty much every category, but especially how much they mean to you. Honestly, being in love hits you like a bolt of lightning. Even if it's never happened to you before, you'll recognize it for what it is. When you would absolutely die for someone without a second thought, and yet also think about killing them at least once a week. I'm extremely nervous around that person. It's someone I've known for a long time, and I'm good at hiding my feelings from them. I'm a great secret keeper, but not an excellent liar. When you feel like your heart will break into a million tiny pieces, crying streams of sadness and regret if you do anything to make them not like you, or they're all you think about, then again that could just be a crush. I dunno. If you can't picture a future without them, this can be in any relationship. Treat those people extra special and show them you care. Unfortunately, what you'll tolerate. Many people don't have the instinct to let other people know what they did was wrong on any normal occasion. Those that do are hardly the ones who'll know to do such a thing for someone they really give a duck about and want to make things work. Feel let slide a number of things without ever really addressing it, and that's when the trouble starts. Either in frustration, resentment, or overall a disconnect that can go on and on if you have a one-sided love affiliation that the other person consciously or subconsciously takes full advantage of if they're bad people and not in love with you. I knew when I walked off the edge. I closed my eyes and took a final step. I was very afraid and even shaking inside at times. But I stepped off that cliff anyways. I have been falling ever since, and the love I feel as I go is worth every quick second of my life. You know, when you consistently put their needs above your wants and find yourself motivated to grow, not out of fear of losing them, but because you know they deserve your best. Love is found in both action and in feeling. It's altruistic, humbling, and inspiring. I know I love my girlfriend because every day I think about how lucky I'm to have her and look forward to the future we're going to build together. I prioritize what is important to her and try to change in a way that will continue to deepen a healthy relationship. 7 years of therapy as a teenager and young adult helped to teach me what a healthy relationship should be, and I do everything I can to continue in that direction. For me, it's never getting sick of being with him. It's when we go to sleep, I still want to be cuddling him as I fall asleep, as I've never been able to do that with anyone else. It's still being able to laugh together. It's being able to do things separately while in the same room. It's him being the actual only person I find attractive. It's wanting to be better for the both of you. It's wanting to communicate and solve problems rather than call it quits over every little disagreement. When you see their face and get genuinely happy, when you see them smile and just melt, when you decide you'd do anything for them, that's how you know. In all reality, you will know when you're in love. It'll be pretty obvious because you won't be able to convince yourself you aren't. You might be able to convince the people around you, but you will know. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.